It's midsummer now in central Victoria, Australia, where my garden is. There's been a few changes again since my last garden tour. This tree we knocked down. It had previously been knocked down, but it coppiced, and now we have a view of the hills, which I quite enjoy. The lawn is getting there very slowly. I did apply weed and feed, which has killed a lot of the plantain, not all of it. So I either reapply or I start pulling it out. The cooch is coming back because I'm watering every day. So there are patches of cooch. But yeah, it's taking a little while. And my husband bought me a gimbal and a microphone. So maybe my voice is sounding better now, or a bit louder than what it has been, which means I probably should say things that are a little bit more important than what I've been waffling on about. But the gimbal is very impressive. It really smooths the movement of the camera. Oh, sorry, I'm still working out how to drive it. Anyway, it is the 15th of February, so it is officially late summer, and the sun is rising at 6:54 and it is setting. Yeah, that's interesting. Still learning to drive this gimbal. Yeah, so the sun is rising at 6:54 and it's setting at 8:22. Today was a minimum of 17 and a maximum of, well, it ended up getting up to 33 today. So summer is still very hot. I think the trick is with a gimbal to move very slowly. I really don't know, but it's very good. Maybe it's a bit too good for me. I'm by no means a professional YouTuber, and I really don't have any aspiration to be one, but I would like some nice footage of my garden. I forgot to move this stool out of the way. I'll just move that now. So this is the Scandi garden, and the moonflower is looking a bit sad after the heat of the day, but it's hopefully going to flower before the frost comes, otherwise there's no use having it. but we don't get the first frost until usually April or May, so there is time. The Tuja is still looking a bit sick thanks to my Kelpie peeing on it, but I have blocked it off and I think he's got out of the habit, and I'm going to have to replace that little cypress there. I think it's just keeps turning brown, so I think come autumn I'm going to buy a big pencil pine cypress and put it there. These two hydrangeas continue to do really well. That's the white ball I transplanted and the Magical Evolution. I'm going to cut back all those dead flowers, but there are some nice new buds coming on, which you can see there. Oh, other way. Okay, so that is my my viburnum snowball. Doing really well. I hope that turns a lovely red in autumn. My Sunday Phrase hydrangea, all the flowers have turned brown thanks to the heat waves we've had. A few days of 40 plus even, so it's been a bit of a tough summer, but I'm hoping that with next season, when it's a bit more established, it can handle the heat. I've got a lot of the grape hyacinth coming up, which I do want to transplant in other garden beds. My oak leaf hydrangea has done well. I had a bit of an accident pruning this Banksia rose. I snipped one of the wires, and as a result it's leaning out a bit, so that will need fixing. This candlelight hydrangea has got a big flower head on it and not much else, but that's okay. I just can't resist that flower, so I've left it there. I like the look of these pots. The petunias are doing really well, and the buddleia keep promising flowers. This gomphrena is doing really well. I'm hoping that those flowers do darken as it ages. They're very close to white. All of this chamomile needs cutting back. These two Sunday Phrase hydrangeas I transplanted. last video I spoke about them. I think I'd just done it last tour, and they're looking so much better now. And this one, I want the gimbal to move, but there we go. I think I need to really learn how to drive it a bit better. It's doing really well there. It's a little bit more advanced than the others. Now, I have got a Lisianthus flowering, and if I can focus on it, it is very pretty. They're a lot of fuss, but are they worth it? I'm not sure, but I've got 3 here, 1, 2, and another one over there, so we'll see. I still have a lot of work to do on this island bed. I've got to remove all of those old foxgloves, the spent sunflowers, and deadhead the dahlias a little bit more. I might not allow the sunflowers to grow there next season. And I'm thinking of trying to get sweet peas to survive all summer on this trellis, because the moonflower really hasn't taken off. So I think there's another gomphrena there. I think the moonflowers need to stay over there near the spa room. I'm really pleased with these petunias. And the Angelonia, which I wasn't too sure about. But apparently Angelonia is not perennial, and it doesn't come back from seed. So I am wondering if I can dig out a few of those type of plants and overwinter them. I'll look that up closer to the time. But the ornamental grape is really liking that spot. I'm so pleased I decided to get rid of the hops. And my lemon is starting to put on new growth. So that's exciting. This bed, the oak leaf hydrangea, has done well all summer. I've got a couple of hostas under there that are suffering a bit from the heat, and the snowball viburnum there has done well. This Sunday Fraise hydrangea is doing okay, but I hope it'll do better next season. The heat's just been very difficult for plants to get established, so the autumn weather, when it finally arrives, will be a welcome relief. Fighting the gimbal again. See, I really just don't know how to drive it. What are you doing? Okay, anyway, here is my rose that is also suffering a little bit with the heat, but it's trying to establish as well. What always does well for me is the snapdragons, especially when I deadhead them. I've got some buckets of water here ready to water some trees in the paddock, and my box hedge is looking really good for the end of summer. Smoke bush, it's doing well. I love the contrast here between the dragon heart and that prostrate, I believe it's some kind of grevillea, with its bluish grey tones contrasting against the purple dragon heart. I've lost a Baronia here. It just could not handle the heat, as well as the lack of rain, I suppose. But being summer in central Victoria, there is not a lot of rain. And there's not much more on the forecast either. So usually, again, April, May is when we start to see the rain again in any kind of substantial amount. Now here I've moved a lot of these rocks because there's been a new development up here. You can already see it, that I've started putting a gravel path there. So that was always a plan. This was just a storage area for rocks. Whenever I found a rock, I would put it here with the knowledge that I would be moving them over there and elsewhere. So that's what I've been doing, and that's why this Hardenbergia has not yet been pruned, and it really does need pruning. Again, I was hoping to get it done before this video, but I pruned the Banksia rose instead and trimmed the wire holding it up, so I created more work for myself and my poor husband. But things are still doing quite well despite the heat and the lack of rain, and I'm really excited that we have a flower on the Nyphophia. So that's going to look pretty stunning very soon. There's no flower on the neighbouring one, and it has been struggling a bit more with the heat, I believe. But these pomegranates are doing really well. I have been giving them a bit of water, not a lot, but they're just so drought tolerant that they can handle it. Alright, so here's some of my exciting changes. This is a really flexible and affordable garden boundary that I got from Bunnings, and I'm going to get another one too and basically create a big circle. And last garden tour I showed some plans I did with ChatGPT showing what areas might look like once the garden has matured, and I've started working towards that. So this is going to be a circle with succulents growing in it. That won't be on an irrigation system, and there will be paths of gravel, and we laid this gravel just today, so it's going, you can see what it's going to look like, and it's already got a nice satisfying crunch to it. So there'll be a path. This bed will also be a succulent garden, but this bed will be irrigated. So it's already got some plants in there, an escallonia, a lavender, a daisy up there, but I'm thinking of putting a rose and a few other plants that can be irrigated there. So yeah, we're really pleased with the path. And that's a feature piece of granite we found, and I'm gonna stand it up, but I'll have to dig a trench, otherwise it might fall on my cat. Really pleased with this hedge, the Wolfanii followed by the lavender. That bubbly is doing really well. This garden bed isn't irrigated, but I do give it a drink in these hot days, not every day, probably once or twice a week. The miscanthus is looking so good. The rose campions got bigger. The overdam grass. Oh, there's some lizards around here. But look at this. This is my desert hollyhock, which I grew from seed, and I've been looking forward to it flowering all summer, and it has got buds on it. How does one do a close-up? So maybe by the time I do my next garden tour, it might be flowering. And of course the rose campion is surviving. I do water it a bit more than the other plants here. I want it to establish really well and keep flowering. These gimbals are quite heavy, aren't they? But I think I really am a learner driver. I could probably watch some YouTube tutorials on how to use them, but I'd rather garden. So I just make mistakes, learn by trial and error. So the crunch underfoot of this beautiful gravel path is very satisfying, and it is a local rock. Our area is really well known for granite, so this is a granite gravel. Here's my recent addition, the crab apple. Looking forward to the autumn colours. And last tour I also showed my ChatGPT mock-up of how this will look when it matures. I really like this view of the garden, the front garden over there, but also the hills. So I'm thinking of putting a bench here under this she oak, which would then give me that view. I really do want a few more sitting places just to watch the garden from various vantage points. This is a native, maybe another type of grevillea, and it is flowering. I should probably give it a prune soon, a bit of a haircut. All of my garlic chives are flowering, about to flower anyway. I'm quite pleased with this bed. It's done really well, especially since I've added the irrigation, and these black and bloom salvias look really good up here, but my little burning bush is suffering a bit with some burnt leaves from the heat waves we've had. So yeah, hopefully it just needs to establish like everything else. Another black and bloom salvia. And this is a surprise. This is a evergreen, I always forget them, magnolia, a small variety, and it is flowering as well. Again, last tour I was somewhat amazed that the other magnolia, which we're about to see, it was flowering. So the magnolias are really liking the new irrigation system. I had moved that daisy last tour and it was suffering a bit, but it's bounced back. More garlic chives. This is a callistemon, which is a bit of a staple native in Australia, and I trim them into shape. They need another trim, and the birds love the bottle brushes when they flower. Now here's another change which I'm really happy with. The David Austin Climbing Rose is looking really good. It's reblooming. These garlic chives must really like that position because they've been flowering for a while now. They were the first to flower. But look at this. This was not on their last garden tour, but did I show it as ChatGPT? No, I don't think I did. I think it came to me as an idea afterwards, but I'm going to change it a bit. So this is that really flexible garden border stuff, but I think I'm going to make it around the pot, and just on the end I'm going to use some star pickets to hold that gravel in. But I'm really pleased with it. I will do a few little changes, but that's mostly how it will stay. I've planted succulents around that stump, and this pot was behind me, but I've moved it there. Here's this, I've forgotten it again, magnolia. It is a deciduous magnolia. So it was flowering last tour. It's done really well this summer. This bed is not yet irrigated, but it will be. And I was speaking for a while about extending this bed down, and I've started to do that, and also plant it up a bit. But yeah, I decided to be dramatic after watching one of Erin's videos. What is she? She's a gardening YouTuber. Can't remember her channel name. But she said to be more dramatic with the borders and the curves, to make more dramatic curves. So I was just making it go out like there, and when I saw that video I took her advice and made it more dramatic. And I've decided that I'll get a gold smoke bush, and I'll plant it maybe here, and it will contrast nicely with the purple one. This bed, I took off the debris I had on it, getting ready for when I will plant the silver birches, the long awaited silver birches, in autumn. And I think I'll do that very early autumn, maybe even the end of summer, so in the next couple of weeks. I've allowed some plants that have sprung up to stay there, some calendula, hollyhock, achillea. I also planted snapdragon and stock at that end. So there's also rogue cosmos, of course. So it'll have some interest. And you can see the circle. I've put the irrigation around. That's a hazelnut and this is a quince. And I've decided that circle will be a garden bed. The theory is it doesn't need to be irrigated because this is our septic outlet and it remains green all summer, and that's why I built up the bed for that reason. And I haven't irrigated it, and everything that's come up there has survived really well. So we are going to put gravel on our driveway eventually, and I think we might allow gravel to be down in this bit too. And this is going to be the meadow that I prepare in autumn with the wildflower kind of seeds I've collected. A lot of cornflower, poppy, corncockle and strawflower I think will be the main flowers there. I'd like to get a blue spruce as well, or an Arizona blue cypress I think it's called, where that granite is. I had to go in for dinner, so it's a bit later. It's now, what's the time? 7:15. This area, this path, I thought I might try and plant dichondra in between and see if that can tolerate the heat and the lack of water. I probably will have to water it a little bit, but it's an idea. I'm getting more content with this problematic garden of mine, which I'm calling the she oak garden because of the two she oaks that spread their roots all over it. So that's one, and the other one is over there. And the roots can be found throughout the garden, shallow roots, and they take all of the moisture and the nutrients. So I need to plant plants like, although this heuchera is doing a lot better. The butterfly bushes or gora, they're all doing really well here. That is a pink Sunday salvia, so salvias do well. The herbs like sage, marjoram and oregano do well. There's a thyme in there. This is a evening primrose that is doing really well. Of course, in winter, as I've said before, I'm going to dig up the front bit, which is filled with granite boulders, dig them out, replace it with compost, and hopefully the front bit will retain the moisture a little bit better. But of course the she oak roots will probably still be a problem in that regard. This new agastache is doing well. Yeah, so I really want to just overplant this whole bed for next season. I may have said it last tour, I'm not sure. I did re-watch that tour this morning, but can't quite remember. I'm going to get rid of these scabiosa because I got a total of 1 flower, and I thought it had thrips, and I think it did have thrips, but I think it's also the heat that it doesn't like, and it just hasn't performed. So I'm going to completely get rid of it and plant something else there, maybe the Magic Spires salvia, which has been doing well. You can see it just there. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so the other thing is the GMs, but I did read up on them. They also did get a case of thrips, but they don't like the heat, so they stop flowering in heat, and apparently they should reflower in autumn. These chrysanthemums are doing well, so that's something to look forward to soon. Still haven't deadheaded my achillea, just too many projects. That gravel has preoccupied me. I'm hoping that next summer and spring I don't have as many projects to do and I can dedicate my time to gardening tasks. So speaking of projects, here is this new path that I believe I did show a mock-up, not on the last garden tour, but on my last video in which I weeded this whole space here, the cobblestones. And anyway, so now it's a gravel path in real life, and I just love it. Should have done it years ago. I always thought that I would put lawn here, but in our climate it's just unrealistic in such a high traffic area. So I really like the gravel, and the lavender suits it. I need to cut that lavender back very soon. I want to try and get some blooms before winter. I think I'm getting better with this, whatever it is, stabilizer. I did talk about maybe trimming this pomegranate into a ball shape, but I'm now wondering whether I just leave it in that natural shape, because come autumn the leaves will turn gold, and I do like watching it in the wind, so I'm leaving it for now. Maybe next season I will do that ball shape pruning and see what I think. This garden is just a pleasure, and I keep thinking about the changes I'll make for next season and whether certain plants will be more established and bigger, and like this Sunday Phrase hydrangea, better able to handle heat waves and all that stuff. But I have to remind myself just to enjoy it as it is right now. And I have been doing that. I've been spending some time this summer in my hammock reading or just watching the garden. This is a Virginia creeper here, and I finally tied it up a little bit so that it climbs up that rather than limping on the ground. So I'm hoping that Virginia creeper has a nice autumn show. I'm really delighted with the cleome, and I am looking forward to having more cleome in this bed next season. The straw flowers I've decided will not be included in there. They'll go out to the meadow over there, but I will keep the zinnias. Which have done fairly well. Here's my crepe myrtle. Pretty short and hidden, and obviously it will grow every season, but in the meantime this area in the middle will be my annual flower bed, I think. This hebe I'm going to move over that way, and I get worried that these red dahlias clash against the orange there of the Leonurus, or lion's ear, but it's probably nothing much to worry about. But I might move them back a bit anyway and put, or divide them and put another dahlia here. Well, I'm moving this hebe, so I might replace it with a dahlia. The lion's ear is flowering quite well now, so that orange is standing out, and I'm wondering, and I've got another red Bishop of Landreth, I think it is, dahlia there, so I think that maybe the red and the orange clash, so I might move that and maybe put blue delphinium there instead next season. But these helianthus I really like, and there's another helianthus here. This is Loddon Gold, and that is Angustifolius or something like that, which hasn't flowered yet. I think it's a very late bloomer. In this pathway I've got thyme, creeping thyme, and lots of weeds, so I need to attend to that. Another job that needs doing. I deadheaded all the lamb's ear and they look a lot better for it, in my opinion. Now once again I'm fighting with the gimbal, so sometimes it just won't move, will it? There we go. I think I do just need to practice more and maybe succumb and watch some YouTube tutorials on how to use it. So my pestamons are really liking the irrigation I've put in. I've got some Evelyns here. Oh, there's a juvenile rainbow lorikeet here. That's a juvenile one. They lose that green feathering as they get older and just become blue and red. They're very cheeky. They eat our fruit with no guilt at all. Yeah, so I'm hoping these penstemons, Evelyn, get quite bigger. And yeah, showy. The lupins have done well too. They really like the new irrigation system that I finally got in. So does this black-eyed Susan. Now here I have got some dahlia, and they really suffered. I put them in and they suffered because of the heat. This one in particular suffered, but I believe they will bounce back, especially if I deadhead them. So, oh, there goes the gimbal again, taking over. Now go back there, please. Sometimes I just want to fight it like that. That's me fighting it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so these are the dahlia. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we will see how they go. But I think they'll be fine because they do okay in heat. They like heat. Then I watched another YouTuber today. Now, what's her name? She's one of my favourites too. She's in the south of the States. Oh, I just realised I was zoomed out. Yeah, she's in the south of the States. Can't remember her name, but she's a really good. She's got a nursery, and she was saying that her dahlias do really well because they get a lot of heat in the south, and they do really well in spring and autumn. So perhaps they're about to perform for me. This comfrey has flowered all summer and it's really liking the new irrigation. I should cut it back soon, maybe the start of autumn, and spread the leaves as a mulch because it is supposed to be a dynamic lifter. So it lifts up nutrients from deep in the soil and the leaves will decompose and spread those nutrients over the garden. That's the theory. So I should do that. Snapdragons, again, just perform. Even in winter they perform. I really love them. These echinacea, I'm going to transplant them around the garden next season, and I'll transplant these pomegranates, and I'm going to put that hebe here instead of the echinacea. This Sunday Phrase hydrangea has also suffered in our heat, but this rose is fine. It's been there for a long time. The wisteria recently reflowered, and I think it always does that when I give it a summer prune, and the perfume was really nice. So it needs another summer prune, so it might reflower again. In my last video, I weeded these cobblestones, which were filled with weeds, and doesn't it look a lot better now? And in the last garden tour, I spoke about this climbing rose, how it got a hard prune, and we probably made a mistake giving it such a hard prune in summer, but it's coming back as I knew it would because it's so tough. I'm fighting the gimbal again. Sometimes I just twist it. Sorry. I'm sure that gives the viewer, it was only me anyway, a bit of whiplash. I'm going to move a few of these goras here, pink goras. They're hidden there anyway, and I think that will be more good filler for my tricky she oak bed over there. I really want to overplant that, as I said before, so those gora will do the trick, I think. There's a another rosella over there. Oh. Oh. That's an adult one. You can see it's lost its green feathers and it's now blue and red. My cosmos here is, oh, where's my finger? There it is. It hasn't been doing a lot of flowering, and I remember last season it did pretty much wait until autumn for its big show. Alright, zoom out again. I think what the gimbal does do is stabilize everything, so even though my steps are a bit shaky, I think the video will be smooth. I've got lots of achillea there I need to deadhead. So here's another look at this, what will become the silver birch bed. And hopefully I can get some lawn happening here one day as a pathway, but it will need watering, and that will mean more water tanks, but we've got some ideas for that. So this new bed, and what's coming up here, which just kind of is a happy accident, and I think lots of people grow these in the northern hemisphere at this time of year. Belladonna is one name for them, and what's another name? One of my favourite YouTubers just loves them. Her name is North Lawn, I think. North Lawn Flower Farm. And yeah, she just loves these things, but I can't remember what they're called. And I've got another one in full flower over here. Something beginning with A. There it is. I think it's nearly spent. Yeah, so they're popping out of the earth as they do. But I'll back up because here is going to be another bed eventually. It's a bit lower on the priority list, but I've marked it out for my planning and just looking at what the sun's doing there, how much shade it gets and all of that. But yeah, I probably won't plant that up for quite a while. But as I was saying, here, about here, I think I'll pop in a golden smoke bush, and I think the contrast against the purple smoke bush will be quite delightful. Yeah, I'm glad I listened to Erin on whatever her YouTube is called, the something gardener, the impatient gardener, that's it, because she's always joking how her husband is Mr. Much more patient. Yeah, she's the impatient gardener, and she was saying to do dramatic curves in your garden. So that's about as dramatic as I get, I think. It was, yeah, I was just going to be, and I thought, no, I'll do a dramatic curve. And I also decided to do a dramatic circle rather than just a bed here. So, yeah. I'm looking forward, as always, to seeing how it looks this time next year. So, that is late summer 2026. And I've been saying all summer I need to prune this lavender, and I haven't done it yet. As I was saying before, if I have fewer projects next season, perhaps I will get some of these jobs done. Next garden tour, I think, will be for the last day of summer rather than my preference, which is the first day of the season, first day of autumn, because I think I might be a bit busy on that day. So I'll do the last day of summer instead. But this is now late summer, and overall I can't be unhappy with the progress.